like to welcome and thank you all for attending today, for your curiosity about how we can make the world of work better and how we can do that through using different tools and techniques. And one of the ways that I want you to explore today, we're going to explore with everyone today, is around the job canvas. So the job canvas has been designed to reinvent how we can define, discuss, and do our work. And what we're going to do today is talk you through the canvas in terms of what it is, where it's been come from. We'll share some stories about organizations that are using this, so IOM, and then we'll hear from the wonderful Michelle Reed about how she's used it, and we'll have an opportunity to play with this as well. So we'll give everyone the opportunity to play and explore with the canvas today in the hour that we have together. You'll note that we're recording this session, so I hope that's okay with people, and that's so that we can give other people who have not been able to attend today, we've had a couple of people who have not been able to attend, to catch up and watch this session. So that's why we're recording. If anyone has any issues with that, then I'm afraid you'll have to just duck out, but I think most people are comfortable with the recording. So again, just to say, we're delighted that people have joined from all over the world today to learn about the canvas. And this is something that I've been developing with support from lots of people for about 3.5 years now. So it's wonderful to kind of bring it to fruition, having tested it and explored it and experimented with lots of different organizations and partners who've helped me to do this over that time. So I'm really excited to be sharing this with you today. And so we wanted to there'll be a number of people helping me today, and I'll just briefly get them to say hello. So in terms of people who will be helping, so Chloe Mark is supporting with the digital content and development, and she'll be sharing how you can help us spread the word about the canvas at the end. So Chloe, do you want to just say hello? Hi, everyone. So that's great, Chloe. Michelle Reed, who you'll be hearing from later on from IOM. Michelle, just say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Gary Butterfield from Everyday Juice Limited, who's helped me not only kind of develop ideas, who's helped with the website design, but just in terms of the fundamentals of the canvas, who's been awesome. So thanks, Gary. And you've been helping with the collect questions. So if you've got questions as we're going through in the chat, add them on and Gary will collect them. So do you want to say hi, Gary? Do you want to say hello, Gary? Are you shy?
I was on mute. I was that first person on mute. Hello, everybody.
Then we've got Martine, who's joining us as a sketch noter in residence. Today she'll be making a sketch note, but she is the person who's developed all the amazing icons and design that we've got associated with the canvas, and she's been an amazing delight to work for. So anyone interested in design work, really want to give a plug to Martine. So Martine, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Away from Martine. And then lastly, Deborah Beale from the University of Durham, Debs, who have been collaborating with about job crafting and bringing the job canvas to life. And Debs is going to help on the chat just to kind of share her thoughts and experiences and answer questions as well as we're going through. So Debs, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody.
Thank you. And I feel very fortunate that all these individuals have been helping me and lots of others as well to develop the canvas that we're going to talk about today. And the canvas, there's lots of different uses for it and lots of different ways that people use the job canvas. But the primary way that people kind of see it, at least for myself, is as an alternative to a job description. So it's something that is a viable alternative to a job description. Job descriptions have been around for hundreds of years. And we'll touch upon, I think there are issues and challenges with how we use them within organizations in terms of creating value for us and other people. And I'd just like to get a sense from people here in the call in terms of how regularly do you use and check your job descriptions. So is it something that you do once a month? Is it once a year? Is it less frequently that, or you've never checked it if you've got one? And some of you may not have a job description. So just complete this poll, and I will give us 30 seconds or so to complete this, and I'll share the results with everyone. Okay, so I'm just sharing the polls, and I'll share these with others. So a lot of people, some of these don't have job descriptions at all. So in terms of the roles, some people have never checked it. So a quarter of you have never had, since you've had a job, have never checked your job description. And there's 3 of you which I'd love to meet and shake your hand if you kind of check it at least once a month. And some of you check it once a year. And certainly when I've worked with organizations that have checked them, so it's maybe you pull it out for performance review discussions or for promotion opportunities. But the majority of people check it less frequently than once a year. And I think this is a kind of, certainly reflects how I see and aware of people using job descriptions. And in terms of organizations, is it something that people create for promotion, for recruitment maybe, and then they never check it again? So what I have lots of personal issues and problems that I associate with job descriptions, and I'll share those in a second, but I'd like people to put a chat in terms of their in the chat tool on Zoom. Now, what are your thoughts about job descriptions? So what do you feel are the problems with job descriptions? What are wrong with job descriptions from your perspective? So put some of your thoughts about job descriptions. And if you love job descriptions, you can say, I'm a job description lover. That's great, but to defend your position. And again, I respect that, but just lovely to get some thoughts on people on the chat of what your thoughts are in terms of some of the barriers and problems of job descriptions that you see within your organization. And they're flying in, so people have seen. I've just seen Paula's one said that as soon as you do it, they're out of date. They're not describing what you do. They're static. These are brilliant. In terms of, I'm nodding away here, looking at the things that people are saying. They're full of arbitrary nonsense. I love that, Rebecca. Thank you for that. They're not agile, so thanks, Window, for putting that in. So they're only used, Andy, up to seeing Andy saying for pay evaluations and recruitment, so don't provide wider value to the organisations. Oh, yeah. Certainly, they're all things that I associate with, and there's an interesting list here. We'll kind of collect these and share them with people after the session. So my kind of key frustrations with job descriptions, and this, if I was playing bingo, I think I've touched a point. A lot of the things that I've seen flash up on the chat now is that they're static. So as soon as they're not something that's flexible or agile, as someone used the term, and they're something that there is very fixed, and they can box people in. I think sometimes it doesn't allow people to kind of innovate and shape their work potentially, because it's a list of duties and responsibilities. And they're out of date, as someone mentioned, as soon as you write them. Alex Killick, when I spoke to him about this, a director of Glasgow Caledonia University, and now a prominent consultant, was saying that they're like a car that you drive off the forecourt, a brand new car. As soon as you they are, as soon as you drive off the forecourt, they lose their value. There often works of fiction, as people have said this. There are a list of duties and responsibilities. They're time consuming to complete. So in terms of they actually cost a lot of money. And I've done some research, and it shows up to kind of maybe £1,000 a job description to complete. If you think about how many of those people within your organizations are completing job descriptions, and that's an awful lot of money that's been spent and maybe not much return. They get lost within organizations, they collect digital dust. So frustration I had when I was doing change and transformation or looking at structures is that it's hard to track down people's job descriptions. And then lastly, building on this, there's no organizational people insights. So within an organization, everyone will have a job description, but they tend to be on Word documents that are just, so there's data being inputted on there, a lot of time and effort has been created in terms of job descriptions, but they're not able to be analyzed in a positive or useful way. So recognizing all those problems, I was interested about, has there been a solution? Is there something we could do differently? And about 3.5 years ago, when I was kind of looking at some of the impediments to stopping people doing great work, I thought that the job description is something that actually gets in the way of us doing great work. And I thought, is there an alternative? And at the same time as I was starting to develop and grow tailored thinking as a consultancy, so tailored thinking, positive psychology, wellbeing, and HR consultancy, I came across the business model canvas, a number of other canvases that have been developed to put a business strategy on one page. So the idea of this one page canvas was that actually it's something you continue to iterate and evolve. It gets to the core elements of your strategy and looking at it in different areas. And it's something that is something you constantly review. So it's not something that you do once and then forget about. It's something that continues to iterate and develop. And so I was thinking, could we produce a canvas for the world of work, for our jobs? And I started to explore and experiment and create a job canvas. So this is around identifying 9 core elements around a job. So these are, at the heart of this is around the value that people provide to their jobs. And then looking at different elements, which I'll come on to in a second. So we looked at 9 elements and we've refined these and tested these with different organizations along the way. So bringing these elements to a blank canvas and doing those together, we create the job canvas that we're going to talk about today. So the job canvas, as I said, has value at its heart. It's something to say, actually, why does my job exist? What is the purpose of this? What are the problems that I'm solving with this organization? And it's something that, although we recognize is core for individuals to feel connected and engaged with their work, to feel that what they're doing is a sense of value and purpose, we often miss this from job descriptions or miss this from conversations about the jobs that we do in terms of what's the overriding value that we create for other people. On the right-hand side of the canvas are what you could think of as outputs, I suppose. So the key customers on the far right. So these are the people that we serve and support through the work that we do. And what we encourage people to think about is actually how do we deliver that value to these customers in terms of what does the customer relationships, service and delivery look like? When and where do we do our work? And then also looking at engagement and communication channels. So how do we communicate and connect with and engage with our customers? And the bottom right of the canvas is around our key deliverables. So these are the things that, in terms of the actual key deliverables, the tangible outputs that we deliver to our customers. And what you find when people do this, which is interesting, is it creates personal insights and insights between a manager and an individual. So we're doing this with an HR team, and one of the people said that my number one customer is our customers of this organization. So the people that we support through our work, and so that's my focus, is around delivering on strategy so that we can, as a business, support our external customers. Someone else said, actually, is my role in HR, doing exactly the same job. My key customers are the employees of this organization. And actually, I'm here to serve and support employees within the business. And that just conversation was kind of like an aha moment for their team manager. And they're saying, well, that explains why one individual spends all their time kind of looking at employee issues and dealing with those, and not maybe raising their heads to deal with strategic issues. And why another colleague is saying, actually, one of the things that we have here is they didn't get involved in employee issues. They weren't being seen as being responsive, but they were spending their time looking at strategy and delivery. There's nothing wrong with either of those two approaches necessarily, but that manager couldn't put their finger on why they were behaving in their way until they had this conversation about who do you see your customers as. So that's the kind of outputs, the right-hand side. The left-hand side of the canvas is around your inputs. So this is around your key activities that you do on a day-to-day basis, your key resources that you need to be able to do your job, the key partners, the people you rely on to be able to do your job, both internally and externally within the organization. And then the bottom left is around the strengths, the skills and the competencies that you rely on to do your work. And when you map out your job in this way, it gives you a 3D perspective of your job in terms of what you do. So if you think about driving a car, like many of us kind of think about our jobs as a car, we don't think about how it's put together often, but we do know if it's not working, we tend to take it to a mechanic in a garage, and we don't have that luxury in the world of work. And so what the canvas does in a way is allow us to look under the hood of our jobs to understand how it's working, and improving the things that, and building and amplifying the things that are working well, and remedying and changing the things that aren't going so well, and having better conversations and insights for people. And the canvas, we kind of have taken this further in terms of into 2 ways to use this. So one is a standalone kind of template that people can complete. So this is a flat document that you can complete as a PDF or as a PowerPoint document, or using Miro and Mural and other kind of whiteboards to complete the Canvas template. And we've also kind of printed these off in A1. When we've been testing this with big teams, we've got them to complete the Canvas for jobs and do them as a group. And we found that people can complete job descriptions of job canvases in 18 minutes, 2 minutes a section. So it's something that's really quick to update. And then there's also a digital tool that we can use to create the canvas. And this is something that actually is someone can do on their desktop. It's an app that people can complete. It's always saved, and people can download it as a PDF. And when they download it, it's uploaded to the cloud to a destination point decided by that organization. So if you're saying HR and you want everyone to update their canvases, as we've done with IOM that we'll talk with Michelle, is that they'll go to a central holding point or drive in the HR area that they can look at and always have a record of everyone's up-to-date canvas. And it then allows people to do some analysis of the makeup of people's job canvases. So who's got similar strengths, who have got similar values that they're presenting, who are the key customers that people have. So the digital tool allows us to kind of create those types of insights, and we'll share that in a little bit. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce Michelle Reed, and we're going to have a conversation about how Michelle has used the job canvas at IOM. So Michelle is the Director of People and Operations at IOM, and they're the Institute of Occupational Medicine. They're a non-for-profit. They're an amazing organization trying to make the world and the wider environments, the world of work, safer and healthier in a number of different ways. So it's a delight to welcome Michelle to the virtual stage, as it were, Michelle, and what we're going to hand over to you to give us an overview of the how you came across the canvas and how you use it within IOM. So Michelle, I welcome you to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Rob. It's an absolute delight to be here, and thanks to everyone who's taken the time out to come along and hear from you and from me. So I'm just going to take a few minutes now just to give you my journey with the job canvas. So I have worked for the Institute of Occupational Medicine, IOM, now for 4 years come January. And when I joined the organisation, it was pretty clear that there was a need for transformational change, particularly in relation to people management and development. So the organisation had been formed for over 50 years, or nearly 50 at the time I joined. We're over 50 now. And I could give you lots of kind of insight on the things that we've done and all of the development and all of this sort of stuff. But for here, I'll focus very much on the people management and development. I got a lot of noise, negative noise around our appraisal system and lack of clarity around career progression and development. And I won't lie, the appraisal system had been developed about 15 years previously. Brilliant in its time, certainly not at the time that I joined. It was something really difficult for people, and linked to that was the job descriptions. And when I looked at them, they were very old school. So they were about 6 or 7 pages long per role, even if it was an admin role right through to a scientist role. There was lots of pages about the organisation, a list of tasks, but nothing else. They were also hidden away on an HR drive, so nobody could actually access them, and they were very admin heavy. And we only brought them out when we had to, for whatever reason, and then there was a lot of work that had to go in to tweak them and move them and all of this. So the conundrum that I had was that, and I still have, is that I work in an organisation and an industry where we are, and we need to be progressive, but actually we collaborate and work with other institutions, academia, accreditation providers, where they mandate the need for some form of job spec and some form of system. So I needed to think about and have something that would meet the needs of the business, because our partners and our accreditations are hugely important for us, but ultimately meet the needs of the individual. So something that could be self-owned, simple to use, would enable people to connect directly to the purpose of their role and demonstrate the value of their contribution in the context of the strategy. So it fundamentally, so the people understood why they were here and what was required of them to deliver that for the business. So when I was researching options, I kind of fell flat, if I'm being honest. And I actually fell across the job canvas through a Twitter conversation that I had fell across. And from that conversation, I was able to connect with Rob directly, and it was as simple as that, right? And I would absolutely urge you all never to underestimate the power of your network. So if you're ever coming across a challenge and you can't find anything on a Google search, or no one else has thought about it, or it might be a new idea, just fire something out into the ether. I'm sure there'll be someone that connects with you, and that's exactly what happened with Rob and I. So we connected. I became Rob's stalker, really, to be fair, and he kindly walked me through the canvas, and I was instantly hooked, because it was a simple tool that links individual to the purpose of the organisation, creates a 3D insight into the value they bring. I got so excited, I was like Tigger on steroids. And I could see the real benefit to using it within IOM because it's an absolute win-win, something I didn't need to administrate, hurrah, for every person, and something that our accreditation providers and partners would accept and understand, and something that would be of real value to our people. So Taylor Thinking took the time to really understand the challenges that I had and what we had in the organisation and what I actually wanted. And together we were able to evolve the tool to not just be a snapshot in time, but also enabling the user to reflect on the past and look into the future and the evolution of their role. So effectively digitally coaching and supporting them to own their own career path and enabling coaching conversations with managers. And I would say that this works in all cases. So even if the individual's looking to retire, so I have an aging workforce. So if someone's looking to retire, the job canvas enables us to think about that legacy that they want to leave and how they want to develop someone into their role, as an example. It also works for people who want to move into a different role, whether it be inside the organisation or outside the organisation, how they progress in their current role, or just make changes to the role that they hold. So I've found it very much agile in its approach as well. I did make the decision not to sheet dip a rollout across the organisation because one, I knew it would just switch people off, and two, I knew it was going to be seen as another HR mandate. So what I have done is we have introduced it as a slow burn, because as we know, and we've seen in the poll, not everybody looks at their job description every day or regularly. And my thinking and my strategy was really slowly catch the monkey. So the kind of slow burn to roll out. So I decided to introduce the canvas to people and teams who were ready for it. So I had a team that was restructuring, so it was just the right time to really do that and have people collaborating on that for the organisation, but also people who were being coached and developed. So whether it was teams that had people that hold, that there's one role with multiple people in it. So we've got lab techs, for example, and research scientists, and also for those who have roles that are standalone. So one person that has that and being able to do that with them as well. I also used it with managers who were looking to recruit, because using the canvas gets the manager to really think about the purpose of that role. Not just the stuff they want the person to do or the qualifications they want to have. What purpose is it going to bring? What style of person does it need to be? And it really gets them to think strategically. And then an offshoot of that is it provides a baseline for someone new coming in to work from. So it really aids their onboarding into the business, which is great. And I have to say the conversations have been phenomenal, and I don't use that word lightly. Once someone understands how to think deeply and critically about their own role in their performance, which is exceptionally uncomfortable for some, okay, it's amazing what transpires. So I have had people who have been historically resistant to change, who are now spearheading new initiatives and creativity because they can see the value, more importantly, the value they can bring and gain from it. I also have people who have become so much more engaged in their roles because they have reconnected with the core purpose rather than feeling stuck on an unending hamster wheel. So some of our areas are actually performing much better and our productivity has gone up. And we've had conversations with people where they are much more comfortable sharing their aspirations. And these are insights we possibly would never heard of before. And it's led to collaboration cross-functionally. And it's breaking down barriers, particularly with our not-for-profit part of the business, because we are a charitable organisation, but we have no core funding, so we've got a consultancy. So actually having those two areas of the business working together through some of those insights is amazing. So we have an engineer, as an example, who's working with a research team to develop a new product for the future. That would never have happened if he hadn't said, I'd really like to do this in the future, but I'm not sure how. So the job canvas enabled us to have that conversation. And the tool itself, very simple, but it has helped us to drive transformational change and creativity and innovation. And yes, we've invested heavily in our people development and our cultural change, because you have to do that. And all businesses are doing that as it stands, but you have to have the tools in place and the systems that are easy to use, that help people become comfortable with the changes you wish to make, but also show them the roadmap of how to do that. And the job canvas has really helped with that. People need something to follow. They need a process that's there. And it's not about being process heavy. It's just about showing people a path. As soon as you give them a blank paper, the walls come down because they don't know where to start. So to help us embed the tool into the business, which Rob is now helpfully showing and we'll talk about very shortly, tailored thinking helped us to develop a variety of blended tools and training materials. So he helped us hold some train-the-trainer workshops that we could then be self-sufficient in the organisation and our gradual rollout. The tools that we created, we've got readily accessible on our intranet, so people can search for them, or we can signpost them to directly as and when. Also, other people can signpost each other if they feel it's beneficial as well, so very accessible. And the workshops and the coaching that we've done, we've actually been able to do something similar to what Rob said earlier on, is how quickly it can be done and how easy it is to do once you have that thinking and you get into that deep space. Because typically people will analyse or overanalyze or procrastinate over something that's new to them and they want to make it more complex. So showing them the path and giving them example has been really paramount for us in our delivery. And we're also having regular conversations with people who are on their job canvas journey. So if someone is developing their own job canvas, their manager will have that as a standing agenda item in their one-to-one or at a team meeting. I had my team meeting last week and we talked about the job canvas collectively. So actually just keeping the conversation going to make sure it's there and it's being used. The key watch out for me though is around clarity of understanding. So when we had users starting to use it, they got really confused around purpose, and they were in the purpose column, they were putting stuff that they do. And they weren't actually understanding that what that meant was, why does my role exist? What purpose does it bring to the organisational context? How does my role deliver the core purpose of the business? So we updated our materials, we provided additional coaching for people, and then that's when the magic really started to happen. The key thing to remember that the job canvas is a tool though, right? So it is exactly what Rob's shown on the screen. It's a tool and it will only work if it is used with the right intention. So if you're here for a silver bullet that's going to fix a multitude of things, it's not going to do that, but it will give you a framework and a system that will enable those conversations, that it will help develop that coaching culture and self-directed action planning. So we have had mixed responses, I'm not going to lie. So we've had some people that are resistant, some people that are completely loving it. But the feedback that we've got from people in those conversations we've engaged with have really helped us build it and evolved it and continue to do so. And it's really helped hone our training and our communication, because these are vital to the success of it. And although we're still on our journey, the job canvas is integral to my talent management and succession strategy for the future.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to share that with you. And a couple of things I think that IOM have done really well, and again, this is we see in leading organizations that we work with in terms of that we're genuinely interested in making work better, is that you've taken the canvas, and we've got a standard template that we offer in terms of which we'll share with people, that we'll be giving for free access. But what you've done with IOM is you've customized it and personalized it to have the right kind of conversations that you want. And you've also taken this as an opportunity of saying, actually, we needed to do this refresh into the job descriptions or collect them all together. So that was like the challenge, but saying, actually, can we turn on its head to have it as an opportunity to create better conversations about work? Do you want to say a little bit about the categories that you added to the canvas that you added, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. I think your point is right. You know, when I first got the job canvas, one of the things I said to you was I was fearful that it would turn into another flat bit of paper that people would have, and I could see a huge opportunity for it to enable coaching conversations and self-directed development. So the 4 boxes that we added are the ones that you can see on the bottom here. So actually creating a space for someone to reflect back on how the role has evolved or changed. Because all too often we don't remind people to do that, and that's where some real thinking can come from people, and they can reflect back on their successes and also some of their challenges and how that's shaped themselves as well in their learning. And then it goes on to their evolution. So actually, what do they want for the future? Because everybody has a unique skill or interest or strength, even if they're one of multiple people in a particular role. So in our organisation, we've got 3 team leaders in our engineering, but one loves business development, the other one loves process, and the other one absolutely loves new service development. So although they hold this one role of team leader, they actually have different routes they're going down to add value to the business. So that's where that came in. And then the actions were around, well, so what are you going to do? You as the individual, are you going to do? Because we have brought you into the organisation, we are paying you for services rendered, but it's a 50-50 split. So what do you want to do? What value can you actually see, rather than it being handed to you or being asked to or being given permission? And that then leads on to the support. So back to that 50-50, what do you need from us? How can we help you? And then encouraging people to share these with their managers, their peers, their mentors, their friends, coaches that they might have, and because that helps people stay motivated, as you can see there. So I just felt that there was a missing link and an opportunity, and you were kind enough to enable that for me.
Absolutely, that's one of the things we want to do with the canvas for the kind of corporate kind of partners that we have. So it's around actually how we make this work for you in terms of recognizing that it's maybe having just something that's distinctive, that reflects the language and the style that you have as an organization that's going to make it more effective. So I love how you've, I think as Peter, I've seen Peter P said that you can craft the canvas itself. So absolutely. And I also like the idea of saying this is a conversation, encourage conversations and reflections about work. And I think, as we said at the strap line at the start, we want people to redefine how they think about their jobs and how they discuss their jobs and how they do them ultimately. And so I think these additional elements that really support what you're trying to do at the moment. So,
and I think I would just add to that point about crafting. So, another element of your work that I'm really excited about is job crafting, and I see the job canvas as an introduction to that, and the ability to kind of move that on for people. And actually, in our organisation, some roles we've created general job canvases because the people that are in those roles need that little help. But those that are standalone like myself, it's a case of here's the canvas, crack on and craft your own, because you bring unique skills and expertise, therefore you can tell us what you believe your role is, and that actually unlocks a real connection with the individual and actually how they can properly evolve the role. And mine's is a case in point. So whilst I didn't have the job canvas at the time, and I would have loved to have had, I joined as an HR transactional manager and now sit on the board of management, and that was never in the business. But because I was able to say, I think I can add more value and I think I can do this, I was able to craft my role there. So it's completely linked to crafting. Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. So what we're going to do, having teased you with the IOM the canvas, we're going to share with you the canvas, the core canvas. They're saying we were making this free for people to be able to use, and we're going to put in the chat now a link to the canvas that people can access. So I'll show my screen of my canvas. So when you click on the job canvas, it's something that saves on people's desktops based on the Internet Explorer that people use. And you'll have a number of different categories that you can just add to. So here I've started to complete my core value. So what do I see as the core value of the work that I do? Oh, fundamentally for me, it's around making people feel good about their jobs and performing well in the work that they do, helping to bridge the gap between research and practice. And I could add something here around, say, bringing ideas from positive psychology to life. To life is something that's there, so you can create that card. I can move that around to different sections if I wanted to, and I could delete that in terms of the group, the link. So what I'm going to ask you all to do, and we're just going to set ourselves 5 minutes to do this. I'm going to give everyone the opportunity to invite everyone to click on the link that I've shared in the chat, so people could see this, and you can update your own canvases. So and update it. So I suggest you start with core value and put at least maybe 2 or 3 different elements there about what's the value you create in your job, and then you might choose another section, so key activities or resources. But we're going to turn our cameras off now, so we're all doing this together. So I'm going to turn my camera off too, and let's spend 5 minutes just playing with the canvas. And I've resent it and the link to everyone in the meeting, and I will turn my camera off too. And Phil's just said, are we editing the same version? So everyone will have a unique canvas, a blank canvas when they click on that link. And a few people are saying they can't access, if people can't access it, I can share a link afterwards, this session, but everyone should have their own unique canvas that they have in front of them just to have a play with and explore. And Pauline, I'm just going to email you and send you a note now. Okay, we're just going to spend one more minute and then I'm going to stop because it's just an idea of a teaser, a tester to use the canvas. And I've just responded a note for a couple of people who can't access it. So I've had about once every 50 times people have blocked it because of their work servers. We'll find a way for you to explore and test it. But you can, for anyone who can't, you can start maybe on a piece of paper, start thinking about what's the core value and the key activities that you do.
I would just add, Rob, we had an issue with our firewalls at work, so it's an easy IT fix. So anyone who's not able to access it, don't worry. It will be something that's really easily fixable.
Yeah, great, thank you. And so what I'm going to do, if people look at my screen now, so if they go back to my main screen on Zoom rather than their screen, I'm just going to show you how to download this. So in terms of what will happen, so in terms of the download, and you can do this yourselves. So if you were to download, you just ask to put your name in there. So it's Rob, you can use your own name. And your job title. So my role is Chief Positive Deviant at Taylor Thinking. So I'll put that. And you'll download it, and it will download it to a PDF document that you can have in your screen, and it sets it out in a very nice kind of way. The developer Nick, who I should give a plug to in terms of our developer, who's done amazing work to kind of design the aesthetics of this and the layout of it, so it's a really clean and easy document to have and update. So that's what it looks like, and everyone can now download their own canvases, and I'll give you time to do that now. I'll prompt to do that now, and any observations or questions or comments, keep them coming on the chat, and we'll try to collate those as best as we can as we're going through.
Rob, there was a couple of questions about searchability and metrics. So
yes.
You want me to just say a minute on what we do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
So what we'd say is that this is not a platform that has sign-in or analytics along with it. It's something that Rob and I actually talked about as an opportunity for the future. But what we do is we use Box as an information management tool. So anytime someone hits save on the job canvas, it automatically provides us with a PDF version of that, and it's timestamped, so it's easy to see the most recent version, along with a CSV of it as well, so we can then pull things together. We can do our own analytics. We can actually easily access something. So if for whatever reason the version that someone has been doing and they want to go in and edit it and it's lost for whatever reason, so if they've cleared their cookies, for example, that will clear the data. If their laptop dies, or they get the dreaded blue screen, we will always have a version that they can go back to, so it's never lost.
Yeah.
And we've been able to use those downloads very, very successfully and easily. And when we rolled out, we let people know we had a very secure area for those to be saved, so they're not accessible to anyone outside of HR, not because we're owning them, but because they're personal and unique to the individual.
Yes. Yes.
So they should first and foremost always have their own copy, but as a fail-safe, and then for us as for analysis or analytics, we can then do something out of the back of it from there.
Yeah, and we've done we haven't caught up with it, but one of the things we've been doing in the background, Michelle, which I'm excited to share with you, is using tools such as Power BI and others to actually knit the information from the CSV files together so that we can actually create greater insights in terms of actually what are the core areas and strengths that we can.
Yeah, I'm the first in the queue for that, please.
Yes, you've already I think used your prompts to explore that, so thank you. And again, hopefully you'll get a sense of this, is that we're continuing to iterate and evolve how we are using this the canvas with different organizations and different groups. So hopefully you've all kind of had the opportunity to download it. The canvas, if you've been playing with it. Again, please put any comments or feedback on the chat. We'd love to kind of see those, to get some immediate feedback from the wider groups. The first time that we tested it with such a large group as we have today. And I just wanted to highlight maybe how different people are using the job canvas and how we think it can help. And again, probably you may have ideas joining the call today about how you might want to do things differently. So when I designed the canvas, when it was the idea was around my frustration without enabling people to personalize and tailor their approach to work, to bring their strengths to work, to be able to change and adapt the work they're doing. And ultimately, I want to support, I think, conversations about the jobs that we do and understanding how we perform in our work. Having conversations with this support a number of agendas on our HR to-do list in terms of well-being, performance, employee engagement, innovation, and job crafting. And Michelle kind of talked about the link there in terms of IOM between the kind of how we're using this to innovate their roles, but also career development. So again, thinking about what would your canvas look like in 2 or 3 years' time if you wanted to develop it, or what would the canvas look like of the next person's role that you're looking for doing? How is that different? What are the opportunities you need to develop? What are the tools you need and systems you need to be more confident in terms of using? So that's kind of what I wanted to do within the canvas. And we found that particularly there's a sweet spot of 3 different kind of areas where this is growing in terms of organizations that are using this. So one's around reviewing and refreshing existing job descriptions in the way that IOM have, but then doing that with doing that with knobs on. I don't think that's inappropriate this time, hopefully not in terms of having just said it out loud, but in terms of looking at kind of amplifying that in some way. But we've got that task about reviewing and refreshing this, again, through change and transformation or just modernization in terms of your approach. Secondly, is in terms of actually boosting conversations between individuals and colleagues about their jobs and the work that they do. The canvas provides a really nice framework for more coaching-based kind of conversations, or more exploratory conversations about how people see their jobs, about the elements that they're really working really well, about the relationships maybe that aren't working so well, about the resources and skills and strengths people bring to the role. There is a variety of different questions that people can use as a basis of a conversation about their job using the canvas. So it really creates those stronger, more compelling conversations. And then lastly, it's for organizations who want and encourage individuals to actually think about how they can innovate their work they're doing, how they can connect with the value and the purpose of the role that we're doing. Because again, just to reiterate, the value is at the heart of the job canvas. And it's something I think in our day-to-day work that we don't spend enough time reflecting on or discussing. So that's for those of you who are thinking, is this something that I could use or not? If you fall into one of those 3 categories or others, it's maybe something that you want to explore and experiment with. And again, we will be very happy to support you to do that in any which way you can. So we will kind of we'll have about 5 minutes for questions before we go to next steps. So I'm going to kind of call upon, anyone can put some additional questions in now. I'm going to call upon Gary to see if there's anything in particular that you've spotted, Gary, on the chat so far, or Debs as well. And some of you may even have responses to these. So Debs, go to Gary first and then to Debs about some couple of questions that are coming through.
Yeah, there's been loads and loads. So you've already covered sort of the data that's extracted, but one question that came through from Jinter is data analysis / comparison automated, or does it need to be performed manually?
Yeah. So I think we're still at the moment, we're trying to find better ways to formulate it. So the canvas itself doesn't have the technology to provide that analysis. It kind of effectively pulls it for you, but we are finding there's lots of plugins available now from different applications such as Power BI that actually knits the stuff together. So that's what we're doing. So in terms of actually standardizing that that approach as best as possible.
And I would add to that, Rob, that although it is manual, the fact that the outputs from the canvas are easy to join together, it makes that manual process hugely easier. Yeah,
great, thank you. And Deb, is there anything that jumps in you for question or comment that jumped out for you? Just to bring you
the one from Peter, the business psychology, he said one thing that occurs to him was about the highlights, the contradictions, the classic university one in one of my roles, most of the revenue coming from students, but performance is rewarded on publications. Obviously, the academic colleagues within a university have that kind of context, but probably about a third to a half are actually professional services. So this is really applicable for them. And as Michelle has talked about within her sort of experience of using the canvas in her organisation, there's very much a conversation that needs exploring more. So not just about performance rewards, but actually exploring where their role can go in the future. And again, I think that's a really important one for academic colleagues in terms of collaboration, future research, etc. So again, there's lots of positive uses, but I have to be clear, we're at the very beginning of the journey with regards to using the canvas. And I think, Michelle, you talked about it in terms of a slow burn. And again, that's probably a good example from our perspective as well. But I put in the comments that we've been using it on a hybrid working basis, because again, it's giving us that opportunity to have the conversations.
Yeah, thanks so much for both of you. And I'll just pick up a couple more before we can talk about next steps. So I'm conscious that we'll be collating questions. You can contact us afterwards, but I'm also mindful of time for everyone to make sure that we respectful of the time, the hour that we have with you, because it's precious in terms of particularly now more so than ever. So Andy just said, is there support for people to create or use the canvas? So absolutely, we find it's generally quite intuitive, but what we've done and will be kind of continue to release is guides and support for organizations. So for IOM, we developed a number of series of bite-sized micro videos for people. We delivered some training for team leaders and managers to do it. And most of that training has been experiential. So it's actually getting people to do it themselves in the moment and to develop it. So they've got that skills, that tangible skills and experience. So absolutely there is guides and support that's coming out. And I think in terms of Richard's point around obstacles that people have kind of faced, I think the more difficult thing is just maybe a change in mindset about using a different tool. People are very familiar and used to job descriptions. There was maybe a skepticism or cynicism about doing a new process, as Michelle talked about in her experiences, and to do another HR thing. But we tend to find that if people are really clear about the outset, the benefits of why they're doing it, they kind of get on board relatively kind of quickly. So that's the kind of key thing I would say. Michelle, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to add that to reiterate the blank page effect. So when we did our training, we gave them an example of one that was a job role that wasn't IOM related. So they weren't kind of going to criticise that's right, that's wrong. Actually, it was something that was completely unrelated to their role, so they could see an example. Then that really started the light bulbs going. And then the tools that we had on the day, but also that are available to people now. So not only have we got the micro-sized videos, less than 3 minutes for each area of the canvas, but actually we have a guide that people can dip in and out of that gives questions and prompters, because people learn in different ways. So we didn't have a one size fits all. So we have blended tools that enable people to dip in and out and use them as they see fit.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And again, we're developing that. We're learning from this in terms of what works and doesn't work for people. So, and this is linked into a couple of questions we've had about using this and the link. So one thing we wanted to think about, we see you all as kind of pioneers when it comes to supporting and learning about the job canvas. You're curious about a new approach to working, and we want to kind of think about how we can thank you and engage with you kind of going forward. So one thing we're going to offer out, we'll offer it to the world, but initially to yourselves in advance, is around free access to the standard templates and the digital tools that you've seen. So we'll be sending that and links to you. So Peter and others have mentioned, can I share this link? The link that I've shared with you will be live for a little while, but it will we'll share with you a more formal link in the future, and we'll be sharing that with others later in December. We're offering preferential prices for people who want to kind of customize and create personalized canvases in the way that IOM have. So in terms of actually creating and introducing the canvas within your organization for people who are part of this call or watching this video. So we want to kind of recognize you as being pioneers and making this a success for your organization. And so we want to kind of offer preferential pricing for that. And we're also offering additional kind of comprehensive training and support in the way that Michelle has said to make this effective for your organization. So that's what we're offering to you. And we'll be selecting and working with a number of pioneering organizations in the rest of this year in 2022, and to kind of look and use the canvas in lots of different ways. So if you've got a reason of thinking about how you might be able to use this within your organization, but you want to explore that further, then just drop Chloe or myself a line, or anyone, or say hello at Tailored Thinking, and we can discuss that with you. And talking about Chloe, I'm just going to come to Chloe at the end to say, we've got a little ask about how you can help. We've had a lot of Twitter chat already, which is amazing on the chat here about sharing hashtags and things, but there's other ways that you could potentially help us spread the word. So Chloe, over to you.
Hi everyone, thanks again for coming today. We really appreciate it. We're a small team with big ideas, big ambitions, and we want to spread the word about the canvas to ensure that we're making work better for people. I'm in charge of the social media and marketing for Tailored Thinking. I am a one-man band, so any help would be massively appreciated from me, because there's only so much I can spread the word. So yeah, after the session, I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn, Twitter and Instagram, and we're going to ask if we could take a big group selfie. As we're not in person, it's hard to like interact and get some good ideas. So we're going to ask if we could take a group selfie. And if you could just engage with the post after the session, like, comment, share, whatever, any contributions would be amazing. So yeah.
And there's an amazing Phil Wilcox mentioned already, the hashtag job canvas is your friend here. So if you can share or tweet on LinkedIn or Twitter using that canvas, using that hashtag, that would be really appreciated. So for those who are willing, I'd really like to invite you to turn your cameras on just so we can have a group selfie.
Probably you need to show our slide. You need to go next just to show the... Oh
yeah, so I've got to show you that we've worked on this. Hang on, the smile. So you've got to get inspiration from Chloe's canine friends that she has. So, right, I'm going to take the screenshot now. So you want to give it a countdown, Chloe, and get everyone. What do you want everyone to do? Should we wave?
Yeah, wave.
Okay, everyone can wave. Now that would be fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. So we are 4 minutes before the close. I'm just, from our perspective, we would just want to say thank you so much for coming, for investing an hour of your time. I appreciate how precious it is. I'll leave your lunch out for those in the UK at different times for those joining all over the world. Do drop us a line if you have further questions. We will be connecting with you and sending some updates by email after this in terms of some additional resources and a summary, and we'll be sharing the amazing sketch note that Martin's putting together. And so I know that feels like I'm putting pressure on you, Martin. Everything you have done has been amazing so far, but we'll be sharing that with everyone. And I just like to say, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. So please enjoy. And thank you very much. We will be hanging around here for a couple of minutes. So if anyone's got any burning questions and you want to ask them around, if not, go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much from me.